with them ballers, shot callers, 0-1 footballers. True, damn, yeah. With them ballers, shot callers, 0-1 footballers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Yazeed Davids reporting to you live from 0-1 Footballers. In studio with us this evening, we've got a living legend, I would say, Mr. Muhammad Nasief Morris. I think a lot of us forget that his name is Muhammad Nasief Morris. Coach, thank you very much for taking some time out to have a chat with us this evening.
No, no problem. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
It's actually kind of gives me actually goosebumps thinking about it. Actually speaking to one of my role models here this evening. Coach, so much questions I would like to ask you this evening. But I think it's important that we start right from the beginning. You caught the Cape Town's attention when you arrived at Santos. Was there any football before Santos, Coach?
Yeah. I was living in Mitchell's Plain, Beacon Valley. So I was playing for Beacon Valley FC as a junior, and then I had obviously I think I had Coach Brakis. I had him there also. He was one of the coaches, and then I think he made a way for me with a few other players that was playing in the top team away to Santos to trial at the under-19 team for the Bale tournament. And that's how I ended up at Santos.
Wow, compelling. So, Coach, I'm just going to put you on the spot real quick. Saturday morning, Westridge Stephen Regan Sports Field. Describe that feeling, Coach.
I think if I have to look back, like this, there's no other feeling like that as a junior to be on Westridge on a Saturday morning. Even if I have to look at the Bale tournament, I think since the Bale has moved to Bella, the atmosphere has never been the same, especially for that tournament. But it was exciting times, like, getting there early in the morning at the field, preparing yourself for the games and things like that. This is memories that you will never forget,
Wow. Yeah, funny you mentioned about the Bale tournament. My fondest memories of the Bale tournament was on Stephen Regan. And that's probably my earliest memories I have of yourself playing in the Bale tournament on Westridge. And ever since there, you could tell that you were definitely one of the players for the future. Making that step from Beacon Valley into the more professional setup at Santos. What was that transition like for you?
I think it was because I don't think it was that difficult for me because my passion, football was my passion, and my dream was as a kid was always to become a professional footballer. I always used to tell that to my mom, and I said, like, one day I'll make a lot of money and I'll give her everything that she wants. And I think because it was such a big dream of mine, I made sure that whatever obstacles came across, I would make sure that I overcome those obstacles and to achieve my dream that I had. And that's why I think it wasn't that big of a change or difference for me, because I really wanted to be there and I wanted to make it, and I made sure that I did everything possible to succeed.
No, it was quite evident in your playing days as a under-19 player representing Santos in the Bale that you were always destined for great things. That first call for you to actually step up to the first team, what was that like? I mean, coming from the junior setup and then obviously stepping into a professional setup where you obviously were going to compete against the best in the country. What was that like?
It was part of my dream that came true because the one moment I was playing in the local LFA league games with Santos in under 19. The next moment I'm facing one of my rival coaches, like now Roger de Sa. He was playing at Wits. That was my first start in the PSL. I think it was I just got a call from Mr. Ali, and we went in to meet with my parents because I was obviously 16 at that time. They had to obviously be responsible for me by signing the contracts and things like that. I think it was after I signed the contract, it was like 2 or 3 days later. My card was ready, and I was in the starting 11, not even on the bench, in the starting 11 for the first game at Athlone Stadium against Wits University. I remember it
It's
like it
always
was last week or something like that.
I was just about to mention that it's cool that as a footballer you can remember certain things that happen in your particular career that it just always stays with you. I was actually just about to ask you who your debut was against, and without me even having to ask you, you just answered that yourself. So that was actually cool. And then moving from the PSL setup, you only, I think if my memory serves me correctly, you only managed to play 2 seasons at Santos before making that trip overseas.
No, it was actually about say 3.5 seasons that I was a part, because when I signed the professional contract, well, they were already almost halfway through the season. So that was I finished that season, and then I played another 2 full seasons after that, and that's when the break came where I went to Europe.
Wow. I think a lot of the viewers are not not familiar that the first club that you actually played for overseas was actually a club
Yes,
by the
that's
name of
correct. Yeah.
Aris, if I'm not mistaken.
At the
Correct?
time, Mike McCarb, agent of Pro Sport International, he contacted Gulam to ask him if he will be interested sending me to Europe. There's a club that's looking for a central defender, and obviously I said yes. It's an opportunity. I went there for a trial for about a week. It was supposed to be like for 5 days, but they extended it for another few days because they wanted me to go with them to Athens to play against Panathinaikos in a friendly game. And I stayed on longer. Mr. Ali came home. I was alone there, and like that's why I said, like, any obstacles that was in my way, I made sure that I overcome it. And I played the 90 minutes against Panathinaikos. We drew 2-2. I came back home. I think 2 weeks later, they sent a message to the club that they want me to come back and they want to sign me. So that's how I ended up going back. First a loan deal, first year, and the second year they bought me outright.
Wow. So kyk, ons gaan nou net so 'n bietjie Afrikaans net so in die mix gooi nou van nou om te vertaal. Kyk, hoe maak ons nou?
Ja. Nie net Mitchells nie, ons sê Beacon Valley, want ek kom uit die Beacon Valley.
Ja. Specific, ja.
Nou, het was ek dink die experience wat ek gehad het ook wat ek in die national team speel, want voor hy het ek gespeel in die aan die 20 national team. En ons het getravel Afrika toe om in qualification games te speel en sulke goedes. So ek dink dit het vir my gehelp om te adapt nou om in 'n ander country te bly. So het was 'n bietjie 'n blessing vir my om te travel met die national team. En ek meen as in Afrika travel is obviously is different compared to in Europe. Dis swaar en so ek dink daai gee vir jou dinge hoe jy moet appreciate eintlik wat ons het in die Kaap en alleen en in Suid-Afrika. En dan as jy nou Europe toe gaan, is mos nou weer op 'n ander level nou. So dit was ek dink daai het vir my gehelp om te settle daai kante.
Nou kyk, nou ons is gesettle. Ons kom nou van 'n PSL, nou compete ons op 'n European level. Ek meen net om vir jou dop te hou in jou jare nou. Like die players wat jy teen gespeel het, Nasief, kyk jy is nie jou average Joe players. Kyk jy ons praat van ons net om 'n kleer te maak, ons praat van 'n Lionel Messi. Ons praat van 'n Ronaldinho op sy stukke, Nasief. Ek praat van 'n Kaka.
Ja.
Ek praat van hoe was dit? Ek weet hy TV gekyk, hy het players soos hy op die TV te speel en hier speel hy nou 10 die players. My bro praat met my.
My eerste experience in die Champions League was met Panathinaikos die eerste game. Eerste game was United in Old Trafford. Ek het nie gespeel daai game, ek was op die bank gewees. Maar ek kan nou Quentin het ook nog gespeel in daai game. Hy skoor nog 1 goal in daai game man. En ons
het jy seker kaart geskiet na die game?
Nou, Jazz is geswap en alles ook lekker natiewe. Plus hulle wen ons nog 5 niks. 5-0 wen, hulle was al ultra. Maar ek was nie, daai dag sit ek op die bank, né, en ek sit en ek fokus eens op die game nie, like man. Ek is 'n United fan. En Roy Keane was my favorite player gewees. Roy Keane het gesit langs aan my op die bank en hulle op hulle bank. Ek was meer ge-worried oor hom. Ek het vir hom gewatch heeltyd instead van fokus op die game. Daai was die dan situation wat ek ingewys het. Daai ek het altyd die op die TV gekyk like en so en hier sit ek binne in die stadion. Ek sit op die bank. Ek is part van die team wat hier speel. So
there's no spectator in Nasief. As die coach sê no Nasief. No KG. Hoe nou? Is dit reg gewees?
Ja, ek was ek was excited over hier sit ek hier met die mense hier so.
Ja, nee, ek kan net imagine dat moet 'n mad experience can be to compete against players, the best players in the world at that time, and you were rubbing shoulders with them. I mean, it's just amazing to actually have players like yourself that are actually giving back to the game. And I've always followed your football, and I've always commended you for what you did. And then after all the glitz and glamour that you had, dis nou afvan buitekant voetbal. Daar's iets wat ek nou gesien het wat nou vir my gesê, nee, die man, nee, dis 'n groot petty. Voetbal is kribs. Ek sê net, ja, salam, Nasief. Al wat ek sê, alhamdulillah, Nasief, jy het goed gedoen vir jouself, my bro. The humble person that you've been, you've achieved so many things, whether it be club football, international football. You've been an ambassador for Cape Town and for South African football as well. Yeah. You've put the football boots down. You've taken the coaching board.
Yeah.
How do you find that experience? Obviously, being on the field, you were able to influence the game. Now you find yourself on the outside of the field. How do you find that? Giving instructions and having the players react to that.
Yeah. Oh, it's obviously a different transition, like now from playing to coaching and stuff like that. Because sometimes you feel like you still want to be on that field, like, you know, but the time has passed, like now. So now, I mean, also like even when I was playing, I think it was easy for me because I was always a kind of a leader. So instructions, that's why, I mean, coming to Milano, like I was the captain straight away there at the end of my career because of my experience and those kind of things. And with that, like I think with the transition, like now being a coach, like it made it a bit easier, like now, because somebody also mentioned it to me before. Like they always used to see me commanding things, like, you know, giving instructions, like guiding players and those kind of things. And I think that's also like what makes it easier, like now for me being on the outside and giving those instructions and things like that. But also at the same time, making the players understand that I know what it is like to be on that field. So I won't, for example, just jump to anything if there's a mistake that happened and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, we're all human, you know, and we all make mistakes. And I try to interact with them so that we can understand each other. And also I told them the transition for me from becoming a coach from a player, I still have that kind of mindset like now about being a player and how it is and things like that. So I think that's why my relationship with players is so good.
No, definitely. And that actually brings me to my next question. Also, we would like to, O21 would like to congratulate you for your first win in the Glad African Championship. And then leading to my next question, we just spoke about now your transition into becoming a coach, being on the field and having to be on the outside now. In your particular team, you've got a few players that used to be your teammates back in the day. Laat ons sommer so sê, players wat jy ander dae nonsens min miskien aangevang het. Hulle was mos jou teammates. En nou is hulle op die ander kant waar hulle nou actually moet sê, yes coach, en nie yes Nasief. So, hoe weet hy hoe adept sy nou met hy?
Well, You see, like my first job that I had in the ABC, Mutsepe, you know, I understood, like, I got that respect from players straight away because of my career and because of uh, what I have achieved. Automatically, there's that respect. Even when I was playing with some of them, there was that kind of respect, like, that because of my experience, because of my career, what I've achieved. But I've always been on the same level with them. Like you said, we party together, those kind of things. But now that I'm a coach, there's that level of respect that you need to have. And there's most of the guys, I didn't even have to speak to them about it. Automatically it happened to them with them. Where now I'm the coach, they call me coach, they don't call me at my name anymore. There's a certain level of respect. Yes, we make jokes now and then and talk about the past times, the fun that we had, but that is all things that happens off the field, not when we busy. And I think that was one of the main things that I tried to get out of the way now at the start by Steenberg. I started off with, as you must say, like, ek is niemand se brasse hierso nie. Ons is nie brasse nie. Ek is die coach and die is players. There's that transition like now, and there's that level of respect that we need like now. Off the field, we can have our laughs and stuff like that. We can talk about the past, the fun that we had, those kind of things. But when it comes to work, it's work, and there's that level of respect needs to be there. And I think that's also like why I've got a few players, like I can see it, and I've been with a few players for the last 2-3 years coaching them, and I've got players that respects me so much that they will run through a brick wall for me. And not only that, it's also because of how I treat them, what I do for them. If the club can't sort out certain things, I will make sure that they sort it out with small things and those kind of things. Because, like I said, like that relationship between me and the players, it needs to be very close. Like, because then I know at the end of the day, they're the ones. Their success will determine my success. Because without the players, I'm nothing. You understand? So the more I can get out of them, the more they will be successful, the more I will be successful at the end of the day. So that is how I work.
Wow. That's a real powerful message. I would, in one sentence, I would just sum it up as a natural born leader. Let's just leave it at that. Mr. Nasief Morris, we would like to thank you very much for spending some time with us. We're going to leave you with the last word. Mr. Morris, aspiring footballers, young aspiring 0-1 footballers, we'd like to thank you for being a beautiful ambassador to the game, a beautiful role model paving the way for our youth out in South Africa, also in Europe. But what is your message to an aspiring footballer that would become a professional and inevitably walk in your footsteps?
Well, I would think I would mention the one thing that I mentioned earlier, with any obstacles that that came my way, whether it's friends, those kind of things. Like, I always put football first because that was my passion and that was what I wanted to become, a professional footballer. And I think the one thing that I can say that can explain everything is that dreams do come true, and I'm living proof of that. Because my dream was always to become a pro footballer, and I made sure I do whatever it took to become what I wanted to become. Because, at the end of the day, sometimes even your family, they will try to take you off a trail, for example, where you want to be. Friends, especially friends, like, I remember, like, when I was younger, I had a couple of friends that was always making fun with me, telling me, like, yeah, you eat soccer, you sleep soccer, you drink soccer, everything. And a few years later, I could tell them, you see, now, from after eating and sleeping and drinking soccer, look, what I've become and where I ended up playing and those kind of things. So you need to put in all the effort, whatever it takes, even the extra that you can do, to make sure that you successful and become successful and achieve your dreams at the end of the day.
Wow. Coach, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we can catch up with you once you lift the Glad African Championship and we can celebrate. Thank you very much, Coach. Enjoy
You're
the
welcome.
evening.
Thanks, Yazeed.
with them ballers, shot callers, 0 to 1 footballers. True, damn, yeah, with them ballers.